Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's live webinar. Thanks for joining us. I am Cheryl Gandy, Marketing Coordinator with OmniVue. And OmniVue is hosting today's webinar in partnership with Centage. And they'll be presenting Budget Maestro for Microsoft Dynamics ERP users. So in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll introduce you to a budgeting and forecasting product that integrates seamlessly with your Microsoft GP, AX, or NAV solution. So please allow me to tell you a little bit about OmniVue and why we're excited to have you with us today. As a Microsoft Certified Gold Partner, OmniVue is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and we've been helping businesses thrive with Dynamics ERP, CRM, cloud, and hosting solutions since 2003. We really are passionate about designing solutions that create unique capabilities, customized for your teams to do exactly what you need and to make your business successful. At OmniVue, one of our goals is to help our clients see their world, and part of doing that is offering this webinar series. Today, OmniVue has invited Centage, our trusted budgeting and forecasting partner, to introduce you to Budget Maestro. As we strive to understand our clients' needs and maximize your ERP efficiencies, their business concerns are much like yours, planning around budgeting and optimizing cash flow. It's always paramount. So we trust Centage to join us in enhancing the financial health of your business. In fact, today I've heard that this audience may be the very first to see a special sneak preview into their brand new version, Budget Maestro 7S. So let me go ahead and introduce today's speaker from Centage, Daniel D'Ambrosio. He is the manager with the Microsoft Channel Partners. Hi, Dan, and welcome. We're so glad that you're here with us today.
Cheryl, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and thank you everyone for carving out a few minutes of your day to come on and learn about budgeting Nirvana. So prior to this event, I looked up Nirvana, and the primary definition that I came across was a completely enjoyable experience. And that is the goal of Budget Maestro, to help the budgeting, planning, and financial reporting process to become, who knows, maybe completely enjoyable, at least a lot more enjoyable than it is for most organizations today. So we're going to move pretty quickly through the process here. There's a lot of ground to cover, and I do just want to highlight that this is just a sneak peek, or just kind of a brief touch on all the power that Budget Maestro can do. Now, Cheryl, I apologize. I know I said I was going to try and get those sneak peek views into the Budget Maestro 7S, which will be released on August 1st, and it's kind of like a fortress around here, and I could not get that approved. So everyone, don't worry. What you're looking at today, this functionality is the same power that you're going to get. The new release is just going to put a whole new face and user experience on it. So all the things we're looking at, so take a look at the functionality and how this can benefit you and save you time and improve outcomes and all that stuff. And let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's look at the next slide here. So moving on from spreadsheets, so basically our primary competition in the marketplace is spreadsheets. I imagine many of you today are using those spreadsheets, and probably this time of year kind of dusting them off from last year and saying, okay, time to revisit the budget, let's take a look at those spreadsheets. And that, for many organizations, that's a wonderful place to start. That's where most companies kind of start to build things out, but there are some fundamental flaws, and you probably are nodding your head acknowledging what I'm saying there. So there's this professor, Professor Raymond Pank out of the University of Hawaii, and if I were going to be a university professor out of anywhere, it definitely would be out of Hawaii. And basically, he analyzed over 6,500 business budgets that are on Excel, and he identified the fact that 94% of them contain significant errors. And whether those errors were in logic or numbers or alignment with GL, there was enough of an error to make the budget worth far less than it could be if you're dealing with accurate data. And ultimately, these things are on broken links, formulas errors, version control, all of that are some of the major issues, not to mention the increased or the inflexibility of Excel. So there's got to be a better way, and there is, and that better way is called Budget Maestro by Centage. Now, one of the primary things that finance executives are looking for is the ability to get a holistic financial picture, to be able to look at P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, to do not only static budgeting, that's a once-a-year process, but to maybe do the idea of rolling forecasts. Now, not all our clients do that, but many of them do. Many come in and say, how do we align our actuals to plan and take a look at what's happening? And what about the idea of scenario planning? What if we were to increase revenue? What if we were to increase inventory and hold and get a greater discount? What if we were to finance a portion of our business instead of paying down? All these different types of scenarios. That's what Budget Maestro enables you to do, as well as increasing the effectiveness that you get out of your budget and decreasing the time that it takes for your budget as well. Analytics Maestro is our advanced reporting solution. Basically what this does is takes all the data from Budget Maestro, as well as coming from your general ledger, to put it together and put it in a very cool, very user-friendly visual display. And we'll briefly touch on Analytics Maestro as well. And then finally, Link Maestro, which is the direct integration tool that makes the integration into your Dynamics general ledger possible. And this is set up very quickly and easily. So we've been in this business a long time, have a lot of clients that you'd be very familiar with. I always have to throw up the client slide just to say we have clients that are very likely very similar to you and very likely very close to your geography. So if it comes that time, we go down the path and you're saying, hey, have companies done what we're doing today? We can certainly connect you with as many references as you'd like, should that come to be something that's important and relevant. Now, one of the fundamental differences, and we're going to touch on this as we go through the whole program, is the difference of approach between Budget Maestro and any other solution in the marketplace. So let's talk about this for a minute. Basically, what Budget Maestro has done is created a structure in which you have infinite flexibility within that structure, versus Excel, where you have infinite flexibility to start, but as you build out, and this is true with other budgeting solutions, as you build, you become more and more restricted in what you can actually do. So for example, in Excel, I think it's interesting that they're called cells, and in my corny sense of humor, I say the cells that you're building out, actually you build yourself a little bit of a budgeting prison. You become limited as to what you can do. If you have 100 interacting cells, one to the other, that all affect different things, if you come in and move something or change something, it's too easy to break that. So never mind the idea of turning a budget model on its head. You have to start all over again, where Budget Maestro has eliminated all of that. We make it easy for finance executives to come in, leverage information, that GAAP-compliant financial logic, fully integrated P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. And our system knows how to handle accounts receivable and payables and inventory and, you know, assets and all the different things that you would have to program out and tell Excel how to handle. We know how to do that automatically. So you're not spending your time building out models from a formula and programming perspective. You're building out financial models for your organization to determine the best ways to move forward. And then because of the direct alignment and Link Maestro, you can pull that stuff in and see how you're doing against plan. So pretty cool, easy way. And that the idea of 4 days consulting as well is all about the fact that we come out and for 4 days we'll sit together and not just train you on Budget Maestro. Yeah, by the end of that time, you'll become, you know, very near a pro in the tool. We're also going to work with you in building out your model. So brief intro into what we're going to cover in the Budget Maestro demo. All these things on the screen here, I won't read it to you. And we'll go ahead and transition over to Budget Maestro here in just a moment. All right, this should pop up with the ability for me to share my screen, so hang with me as we do that, and we'll go ahead and share Budget Maestro. All right, great. So I think we've got Budget Maestro displayed here. And what we're doing is looking at Budget Maestro. Now, the power of this is the fact that in this tool, everybody can come in and can customize it to look and feel the way that you want. So you're able to come in and do things like set up these sections, which are going to be relevant and important for you and your team. If you have somebody on the operating expenses that you only want contributing to a certain part of the tool, they can come in and do that. Now, we have a lot going on here, so I'm going to walk through what's on the screen briefly, and then do a deep dive into the fun stuff, into the budgeting Nirvana portion of the Budget Maestro tool. So over to the left, we have the Views section. This is where my mouse is right here. And basically, the idea is you no longer have to worry about roll-ups of your budget. You can set up your structure, leveraging our simple drag-and-drop functionality to create an infinite number of different views. If you have different departments that roll up to a region, that then roll up to a corporate, head, you can do all that just leveraging this drag and drop. If you want to budget multiple different ways, if you have somebody who's responsible for administration across the board or for marketing for the entire organization, You have that go to them, and then you can have each department or each person contributing to the budget. So this is infinitely flexible. Here are just a few examples of the type of views you can set up. Here's a really cool one, the idea of a manager view. Well, maybe you want to keep your managers accountable for their portion of the budget. Well, you can easily come and do that in Budget Maestro. You just set up the budget, you roll up the pieces that you want each one of them responsible for, and then they can come in and only access or contribute to the portions that the company wants them to access and contribute to. And you can set this up however you like. It's very quick and easy to do so, leveraging simple drag and drop. So that whole idea of having to program together a consolidated view in Excel is gone. You just come in, drag and drop, it's done. You're saving a bunch of time right off the bat, as well as huge increase in flexibility in how you're doing your reporting. Now in the data section, this is where we enter the information. This is where we're doing the fun stuff of kind of building out different models. Now there are a couple pieces I'm not going to have the time to talk about today or to dive into today, so I'll just talk about them briefly. One is that of drivers. This is where we're holding all your statistical information, your inventory, your turn rate, your head count, your utilization, et cetera, you name it, we put it in here and leverage that as a tool that's going to then drive other portions of the budget. The capital assets, we're able to do things like depreciation, handling your asset management, your disposition of assets, et cetera. Financing is huge and a very cool and powerful part of the tool that basically allows you to do things like modeling out if you should take a loan or take discounts, what's the net effect, if you go this route or go that route. Well, jump in the financing tool and figure it out. And the Quick Start Wizard allows you to build a budget based off of actuals in just a couple minutes. I have a very cool video that shows that. Happy to send that your way if the idea of building budgets off of actuals, even just for starting place, is something that's interesting and relevant for you. On the analysis side, you can easily do things like reforecast, combining your actuals with plan. And then the what if scenario planning is for mass or high level assumptions to do major changes, like what if we increase certain parts of our sales organization and decrease operating expenses. And then in the reporting, within Budget Maestro, the reports are all about the numbers, all about giving you that P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow, that holistic financial picture of what's going on and what's happening in your business, and we'll jump into those as well. So let's go ahead and jump into operating expenses. Now in OpEx, I'm going to spend the bulk of the time of Budget Maestro because all the functionality that we're looking at here is going to carry over to other parts of the tool. Now as we're looking at this, I want you to keep in mind a few things. One, this is not custom built for every client, so our implementation time is not going to be 12 weeks or even 6 weeks. We come in, leverage your chart of accounts, your general ledger, understanding your goals, and then quickly are able to help you build out a model. We have many clients that within the 4 days of training build out their entire budget. An equal number will come and build out a huge portion and the foundation of their budget, and then go back and get feedback from all the rest of the folks and collaboration and everything they need to build a budget. So either way, you're going to get a large portion done because of this stuff right here. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So here we have the idea of our general building repairs. We're in the admin department. We're aligned with an account number. And all this stuff, again, is coming from your chart of accounts, your general ledger. So we're not having to pull this in and customize it and all of that. We're also entering numbers, which is all about what budgeting does. And there are a bunch of ways in which we can do this, and I'll show you that in a minute. I want to start with a simple example here. So here we have this idea of general printing. So what we've done is we've said, all right, we've got our general printing for admin department, account number 6320, and this year we're going to spend $1,500 on our printing for the admin department. So we can come in. Now there are the 3 common approaches in which people enter information, and we'll start with the most common. And that's basically taking this information and taking a dollar amount and spreading it according to some method or some approach. That's exactly what we're doing. Now, I'm a huge, if you know me, you'll know I'm a huge ice cream lover, so I created what's called the ice cream spread here, which is spread based on the seasonality of ice cream. It could be a budget spread. It could be some sort of spread. You can come in, leverage any of the spreads that are already within the tool, or very easily create your own. And that's if this is something that's important for you around allocation and kind of spreading things, we should definitely jump in and show you that at another time because it's really cool. But basically, I've come in and said, all right, we've got this spread. You look down below, and what it's done is take that $1,500 and it's spreading it as an expense according to the weights that I put for each period. Now, Also, if you notice there are a few other things going on, now don't worry, because this is automatic for you. This is happening without any additional really thought or effort on your part, and that's the idea of impacting the balance sheet and the cash position. So here down below, yeah, we recognize this expense, and we're seeing a payable increase in period 1 as well as in period 2, but we've got 60-day terms in this, so we're not actually paying out until period 3. Now, if we can go ahead and change that. If we set up, we've got our payment method here, and these are totally customizable. In this instance, we're saying 60 days. Well, it's actually going to be 30 days. So we're going to go ahead and select that, and you just click off it, and it's going to go ahead and impact down below. And that's how you get that holistic financial picture of P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow automatically. So very, very interesting, powerful way to enter information. Now, one thing I do want to highlight here is the fact that Budget Maestro is not just an annual planning tool. We're used by many companies to do 5, 10, 15-year plans for their organization. Perhaps they have a project that's 18 months long. Yeah, you can create a spread method that's 18 months. But if you look down below and you go ahead and jump in and say how many years, well, let's take a look at 2. I just click on that to increase. Automatically, it's going to keep rolling forward multiple years. So very, very powerful as far as the idea of multi-year planning for your budgeting. Now, let's take a look at a few other things around how you're entering information. Now, the second approach that we often see is that of a manual approach. So if we take a look at this travel expense down here, we're coming in and simply entering a number. This is where you've got things that you just can't predict. There's no spread method. It's just going to go month to month based on, perhaps based off of last year's actuals, based on something. Manual is exactly what you think. You just come in, you enter a number, and that's it. Here we're going to say 600 and 450, and you're just throwing in those numbers based on whatever you feel like the needs are. So very simple, also very common in the area we have people contributing to the budgeting process, maybe not the finance team, but other users. Now, the last way that you're entering for information, I want to show you, and it's incredibly powerful, incredibly flexible, and this is all about driver-based modeling. So basically, we have clients. We have a very cool client. They build jets. And so this organization is building out jets. And, these multi-million-dollar every single product that they build. And in that, they have multiple components. They have these jet engines. They have different modules that they're purchasing. And they're including all of those things in the inventory section of the Budget Maestro tool, in the driver section, setting up and saying, we've got these jets. They cost $500,000 per jet engine. And we're going to go ahead and put those in. And they create these very cool models or groupings that then can determine the expenses for each project, the revenue they're expecting, and kind of model out on each model. Now, we have a real simple example here that we're saying, all right, the electricity for this department is based upon the square footage that's allocated to us times a rate. So here's our square footage. That's the driver that we're leveraging. And we're saying multiplying times a rate. Now, in this instance, we don't have anything fancy like tiered rates. There are no additional drivers here, but you can keep going. If you wanted to add other things, you can absolutely do that within the tool. So this is going to allow you to come in and not have to worry about pointing to cell number B26 and saying, B26, I hope you stay the way you are. You can point to anything in Budget Maestro, and with that, you're going to get this ability to create this integration, this interlocking ability to create a comprehensive, powerful budget and get the full picture to the P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. Another key aspect of the tool that I do want to highlight is the fact that we're able to budget below the general ledger. So as you're coming in, building out your model, this is a real simple example, but the idea of your telephone expenses. Perhaps for your admin department, you're saying, all right, we know we're going to spend, $5,000 a year roughly in our telephone, but it's kind of broken up because we've got our landline and then we also have our cell phone expenses. So let's break those up individually so we can then see the detail underneath, and that's exactly what you can do here. So you come in and you say, here's our cell phone to our admin department, and what we're doing in this instance is kind of unique. If we look down below, is we're taking $3,000 and we're spreading it based on a quarterly end period. We're also on a 30-day payment method. So down below, what's happening is you're going to go ahead and pay this every quarter, or recognize the expense every quarter, and then paying 30 days after. Maybe that's just the contract that you have. Maybe you have instances like that. And this is huge for getting that whole picture of your cash position. Well, here, you've got 2 months where you're not impacting cash at all. Then in period 7, you got a pretty big hit. You got that $750. Well, what if this was $750,000? You want to be able to track this stuff more effectively. Now, if we look at our landline, we're doing something totally different. Here we're paying on a cash basis, so every month as we recognize the expense, we're paying it out immediately, and we're doing it on a spread method based on the number of weekdays in that period. Well, this can be set up however you like. And these periods down below, I do want to highlight, this isn't just, the period 1 doesn't have to be January. We can align to non-fiscal calendar years or non-calendar fiscal years, or whatever it is that you need, we can set up to align like that. So this is some of the power of Budget Maestro. Again, all of this stuff that we're doing here is all about eliminating the need to point to cell B26, the need to do if-then scenario programming. You're just coming in, leveraging power that's in the tool and your existing data to quickly do stuff like this. Now, I want to highlight this. We're in the advanced section of the tool. This is for finance users that have come in and have been trained on Budget Maestro. They've gone through the 4 days of working with our trainer to help you build out your budget. But there's also the idea of collaboration. Many times companies come to us and they're like, listen, I have 20 people or 100 people that are involved in the budgeting process, and I want everyone coming in and contributing to their portion of the budget. Well, fantastic. We have a simple view that's designed just for that purpose. And basically what the simple view does is eliminates all that other stuff that they're not worried about, what type of payment methods and spread methods and things like that. Basically what we want to do here is we want to come in, and in this example of our travel, we know we're going to spend $10,602, or that's what we're predicting. We can go ahead and down below and see our actuals versus plan. So we can come in and say, all right, we've got this, how much we're going to spend this year. Last year we spent this much, but it was a little different spread. So you can come in and easily modify. So if you want to make changes to this, you can just go ahead and make those changes to it. You just click on that. We're going to do $50 here and $4,500 there, and then it's going to show you the variance on this. So as we click on this, you can see, wow, we're off 73%. What's going on here? So this becomes very easy, much similar to that of Excel, kind of a similar look and feel to that tool that everyone's familiar with. However, unlike Excel, there are no links, no formulas, nothing they can break. They can come in, they can budget below the general ledger. So if they won't say, oh yeah, I want to add a subline item for electricity, they just go ahead and either copy it or add a line and enter the information there, and then it's going to all roll up into the reporting section of the Budget Maestro tool. So this also is totally customizable. If you don't want to see these things, if you're halfway through the year and reforecasting, you can just take it and drag it off, and you can set this up however you like. Again, this is customizable to how your users use this. And the key aspect is with security and with workflow, you can align this so that your users only have access to the portion of the tool that are relevant and important for them. So we're running out of time quickly. It's incredible how fast 30 minutes goes. Want to highlight a couple things around revenue, sales, income, whatever you like to call it. Basically, here is where we get into doing some very cool modeling. So if you're doing things like unit price, tracking your gross margin, want to determine that and play with things like your gross margin, play with your expenses or your inventory controls, you can do all that within the Budget Maestro tool. In the personnel section, I'm just going to jump through here. We have a client that came to us that's on Microsoft GP. They budgeted 1,800 employees. They're actually the city of McAllen, Texas. They've been in the news a lot lately with all of the immigration stuff that's going on. But they're our client. They came to us and said, yeah, we have 1,800 employees. We want to track every single employee to the penny with their income, with their operating expenses, of what we're paying, their salaries, their benefits, their taxes, their matching contributions, pension funds, all that stuff. They used to have somebody that full-time, that's all she did was track this stuff in Excel. And it was, by their own recollection, highly inaccurate, very difficult to do, if not impossible. They came to us, bought 3 licenses, said, hey, if we can do this, we're going to fall in love with this tool. We're going to buy 100 more licenses, and that's exactly what they did. Bought 3 last year, came in, started the budget, built out 1,800 employees within the tool to this low level of accuracy, doing things like putting caps on their FICA and their FUTA and their SUTA, having things like waiting periods on their health insurance, doing things like matching contributions for their 401k and retirement plans, all of that, and tracking to the penny accuracy around the actual payouts of this. They're able to do all of that, leveraging the power that's in Budget Maestro, again, using simple drop-downs. We don't have time today to get into it, but very cool stuff, how you add an employee, you point to 2 or 3 different things, and then you're getting that full picture of their actual expenses within the tool. So let's look at reporting briefly. Reporting is a huge aspect of Budget Maestro, so I just clicked on the financial reports. We're going to look at a P&L real quick. You simply come in, click on the type of report that you want. There's a bunch of different options. I'm going with a very simple drill down report. So it's going to start at the high level, then we can drill into the detail that we want to see. But basically, this allows you to get that holistic financial picture. And you come in, you click on, revenue. Here's the revenue lines as to what makes that up. How about our expenses? Let's take a look at things like our telephone and see that below the general ledger budgeting, easily done within Budget Maestro. Now, another aspect of the tool that's super powerful is that I have cash flow. So let's go ahead and take a look at an indirect cash flow. Again, this stuff's automatic. You don't have to worry about saying, oh, I have to build a cash flow. I have to build a balance sheet. It's already happening. You're just telling it, do you want to do 30, 60, 90 days? Let's default to 30 and then do some other things like prepaids and allocating out funds according to certain things within the tool. That's exactly what this does. It allows you to dive in, see all the underlying detail that makes up all this stuff, including dispositions of, assets that you purchase and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to transition over. I want to share with you another solution here. This is the add-on called Analytics Maestro. Basically, what Analytics does is takes all the information that's coming from your general ledger system that goes through Budget Maestro, as well as all the Budget Maestro reporting, and adds visual display just like this. Now, this is super flexible. You can do anything in here. Basically, what we've done is connected directly to the underlying data. And yes, this tool actually does sit on Excel, and it's a true BI tool, so you can get data from other sources, but it's already fully integrated to create reports like this. Or like this, where you're coming in and saying, all right, here's our plan. Let's go ahead and actually make some modifications. So here's our plan. Let's look at 3 months of actuals and 3 months of plan. I come in, click refresh. It's going to go ahead and then show me that modified plan based on the 3 months of actuals and 3 months of plan. These reports are super easy to do to create all sorts of different things like a rolling forecast with trend lines, scatter charts, different things about your head count around tracking how you're doing, where everyone's lined up. Now, reports are great. It's wonderful to see this fancy, chart and graph, but ultimately, how do you build it? So that's something I want to show you quickly within Analytics Maestro, which a lot of people love. So you come into this tool, it's called the BI Analyzer. It actually sits on top of Excel. So our primary competition, which is very difficult from a custom programming perspective, but very powerful from a reporting perspective. And so what we've done is come in and said, all right, let's go ahead and create a report. And with that report, let's connect to our cube here. And let's do a few things. Let's filter on fiscal years. I know I've got information in 2013. And let's go ahead and choose a few entities around there. Let's go ahead and add months. And that's what we'll go ahead and look at as our columns. And then for our rows, we're going to set up accounts. Now, we don't want to look at all the accounts. We want to go ahead and look at the P&L with metrics in this example. We can look at whatever we want. That's just what I'm going to view now. So if you just follow what I'm doing, basically the underlying idea is you're just dragging and dropping which data you want to see and the way in which you want to view it. You click Apply, OK, and it builds out a report here. Now, not a lot to look at. You say, OK, well, what's the big deal about that? Unlike Excel programming, you notice there are no links, no formulas under any of this. What this is doing is directly connecting to the underlying database under the Budget Maestro tool. Now, what this allows us to do is we can come in and we can drill in to any of this. I just double-click, and it's going to expand out. I double-click again, and it goes ahead and takes me to the period underneath. Well, I want to see my P&L with metrics, so let's go ahead and look at the underlying data with that. Let's look at the net income and loss and see what's making that up. How about our operating expenses? Let's break that up and see all the different things that make that up. How about our sales metrics? Let's dive in and see that. Now, once I have the data the way I want to see it, I can come in and let's say I want to actually zoom out based on this and get back to some quarterly reports. Perfect. This is the exact report that I now want to see. I simply come into the functionality that's in Excel. I throw a report in there, our chart. I say I want to do a report that looks like this. I go ahead and drag that up. Now, here's the beautiful thing. You never have to build this again. If this is the report that you want, if this is effective for you in making decisions, fantastic. You simply come in, leverage what's there, and now you come in and you just click on refresh to the underlying data. Also, I can't break these reports. If I come in, start entering some random stuff, hi all, or hi y'all, if we're in the South, which I have a definite love for. My wife is from South Carolina. All right, I'm struggling here with y'all if you can't tell. Anyway, we get it. You just come in, click refresh, and it's going to give us the actual underlying numbers. You can't break these reports. So incredibly powerful, important part of this tool. So let's go ahead and jump back to the slides here and conclude. So we'll transition back over to the slides in conclusion. And I want to thank everyone again for jumping on and joining us for this portion of the tool. So I don't know if I can give that back to you. Oh, here we go. Make Cheryl the presenter. Yep, that's what I want to do. And so basically what Budget Maestro does from a pricing perspective, let me share that with you briefly. Budget Maestro starts all in roughly around $5,000 and goes up from there. There are many things that can pull different levers to determine pricing. Most purchases are more like 20 to 25 or 20 to 30,000, and certainly we have clients that come to us that purchase into the six figures. Ultimately, though, it's about determining, is this something that can bring value to you? So I would definitely want to recommend that following this demo, we have a brief discovery discussion. It would be with myself and someone from the OmniVue team. No pressure at all. It's really focused on determining, hey, is this something that makes sense for you? Are we able to save you time? Are we able to give you better outputs on the back end? What are you doing today, and how and if can we help you? And let's evaluate that together. Here are a bunch of things that we didn't cover in today's brief overview, but they're often very important for people around allocations, inventory tracking, multi-currency, sales mixing, workflow, all that stuff. There's a bunch more with this within the tool. Thank you, everyone, for carving out some time this morning. I hope you found the webinar useful, interesting, and feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is here. Alternatively, reach out to the OmniVue team. We are completely aligned as a team, and love to have the opportunity to speak with you about what you're doing today and explore how and if we can help. I do want to highlight this last thing just because of a conversation I had earlier this morning. And there was a prospective client who came to us and said, yeah, we're struggling with our budgeting. We love your tool. I mean, we're really in love with it. But we're fearful because of the time that it often takes to implement a new solution. And as we talked about a little bit further, they understood that because of our unique approach, because of the structured nature of Budget Maestro, year one, we're going to save significant time. He said he spent a minimum of 200 to 250 hours a year building out the budget, not to mention the time of the rest of the folks that are contributing to the budgeting process. And basically what we're doing is just reallocating some of that time, automating all of this stuff for them. So if you're coming to the budgeting time of year for yourself, for your organization, and you say, yeah, I would love a tool like Budget Maestro, but we're not quite there yet, have a conversation. Let's talk it through. I've got hundreds of references that I can give you that will tell you how quick it is to get up on Budget Maestro. Now, the budgeting is a complex process, so it's certainly something that requires a lot of time and effort and thought. But we're going to help eliminate a lot of the effort around actually putting something together because Budget Maestro is automatic in many ways. Once you enter the logic, it's going to do the things that you need it to do. So let's have that discussion and go from here and ultimately identify if there's a fit. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Cheryl, for setting this up. It was great, the opportunity to speak with everyone here today.
Dan, thank you so much for sharing the capabilities of Budget Maestro with us. Between OmniVue being the Dynamics Gold ERP provider and partnering with specialty solutions like Centage, we really are able to customize any need that our businesses have. So here on the last slide is OmniVue's contact data. Please go ahead and capture our info. You can also connect with us on the professional social media platforms like LinkedIn and Google+. And then really, please reach out to us with any questions that you have. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again to everyone for your attendance today. We hope this presentation helped you see your world.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Cheryl.